I always thought family betrayals happened in slow motion, like in the movies. They don't. They happen in fluorescent-lit conference rooms on random Tuesday evenings, with everyone wearing business casual and speaking in measured tones while they stab you in the heart. "Sarah, you need to sign these papers." My mother slid the stack across the mahogany table, her coral lipstick perfectly applied as always. I stared at the documents, then at the faces around me. My father Adam avoiding eye contact, my sister Rosalind practically vibrating with nervous energy, and her boyfriend Guillermo trying to hide his smirk. No. The word came out softer than I intended, but it stopped the room cold. "What do you mean, no?" Rosalind's voice cracked. "This is my whole future we're talking about. The business just needs a little boost." "A little boost?" I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "You want me to sink my entire savings into your fourth failed venture? After the jewelry line, the wellness coaching, the cryptocurrency scheme? That's enough." My father finally looked up, his jaw set. "Your sister has vision. She takes risks. What do? Play it safe in your corporate cubicle?" The familiar sting of his dismissal made my chest tight. "I'm Sarah Harper, 32 years old, senior financial analyst, and perpetual family disappointment. Too practical, too careful, too boring." I said no, stronger this time. "I won't do it." My mother's face hardened. "Then you leave us no choice." She pulled out another set of papers, these ones bound in blue. "We've already made our decision. The estate, all of it, goes to Rosalind." The world tilted sideways. "What?" "The transfer is complete," my father added. "Your grandmother's house, the lake property, everything. Rosalind will manage it now." "You can't," I started, but Guillermo cut in smoothly. "It's already done. All legal and proper." His fingers drummed against the table. "Rosalind has such wonderful plans for development." I turned to my cousin Genesis, sitting quietly in the corner. She wouldn't meet my eyes. "This is insane," I said. "Grandmother Lorelei meant for the estate to stay in the family, to be shared." "And it will be," Rosalind interrupted, standing up, "with family who actually care about each other, who support each other." My mother nodded. "Until you learn to be a proper sister, a proper daughter, you're dead to us." The words hung in the air like poison gas. I looked around the table again, searching for a single sympathetic face. Nothing. "Fine." I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. "Enjoy your victory." As I walked to the door, Rosalind called out, "Don't worry, sis, I'll take good care of everything." I paused, my hand on the doorknob. Grandmother Lorelei's last words to me floated through my mind. They'll show their true faces one day. When they do, remember what I left you. I'd thought she was being dramatic, paranoid even. Now I wondered what else that clever old woman had seen coming. "Congratulations, Rosalind." I turned back with a smile that made her confidence waver. "I hope you read the fine print." The drive home was a blur. I barely remembered parking, riding the elevator to my apartment, or pouring myself a generous glass of wine. My phone buzzed with messages, Rosalind posting celebratory photos on Instagram, my mother sending a final text about disappointment, my father's terse, "You brought this on yourself." I blocked them all except Genesis, who sent a single heart emoji. At least someone still remembered I was human. Sitting in my darkened living room, I pulled out the last birthday card my grandmother had given me just weeks before she passed. Inside, beneath her flowing script about loving me always, was a postscript I'd never quite understood. "The Queen protects her chosen knight, even after she leaves the board. Trust in that, my dear." I traced the words with my finger, remembering how she'd always called me her knight, steady, strategic, honorable to a fault. She'd seen this coming somehow. The question was, what had she done about it? My phone rang, displaying a name I hadn't seen in months. Felix Mackenzie, grandmother's personal lawyer. I let it ring twice more, steel replacing the hurt in my spine. Whatever was coming next, I'd face it standing tall. I answered the call. Felix? It's Sarah. I think we need to talk about my grandmother's will. 3 weeks after being excommunicated from my family, I found myself scrolling through Instagram, torturing myself with Rosalind's latest posts. There she was, posing in front of grandmother's rose garden, champagne flute in hand. The caption read, "Living my best life in my new home. Sometimes the universe knows exactly who deserves what." Blessed banked karma. My phone buzzed with a text from Genesis. "You okay? That post was cruel." "I'm fine," I typed back, then deleted it. "Actually, no. I'm not fine. Want to grab coffee?" "Can't. Your mother's watching everyone like a hawk. Anyone seen with you is choosing sides." I tossed my phone aside and grabbed my car keys. 20 minutes later, I was kneeling at grandmother Lorelei's grave, brushing leaves off her headstone. "You knew, didn't you?" I whispered. "You saw right through them all." "Sarah?" I spun around to find Felix standing there, briefcase in hand, looking exactly as he had at grandmother's funeral. Perpetually rumpled suit, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Following me now?" I asked. He smiled. "Actually, I come here every Thursday. Your grandmother made me promise to keep an eye on things." He gestured to the bench nearby. "Walk with me?" As we strolled through the cemetery, Felix cleared his throat. "I've been reviewing some documents. Your grandmother left instructions. Very specific ones." "About what?" "About exactly this situation." He stopped walking. "Did you know she revised her will 6 times in her last year?" I shook my head. She was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. Felix opened his briefcase, pulling out a thick folder. "There's a clause, actually several clauses, all protecting you." My heart skipped. "What kind of clauses?" "The kind that makes what your family did not just cruel, but legally questionable." He handed me the folder. "Take a look at page 43. I flipped through the papers, scanning dense legal text until I found it. My hands started shaking as I read. "Is this real?" I whispered. "Very. Your grandmother anticipated potential. Let's call it family manipulation. She built in safeguards. If any attempt was made to disinherit you through coercion or bad faith, it triggers a complete review of the estate's disposition." My phone buzzed again. Another Instagram notification. Rosalind was live-streaming a tour of the house, showing off where she planned to modernize grandmother's antique-filled library. "They're already selling pieces," I said. "Guillermo's been meeting with developers about the lake property." Felix's eyes narrowed. "Without proper authorization? Interesting." He pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. "I'm contacting Maureen Welch. She's the estate's official lawyer. We should meet, all 3 of us." "To do what?" "To discuss how we proceed. Because Sarah?" He waited until I looked up. "This changes everything." That evening, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find a delivery man holding an enormous arrangement of white roses, grandmother's favorite. The card read, "Saw Rosalind's posts. Thinking of you. Genesis." I was arranging them when my phone lit up with a group text from my mother. "Family dinner this Sunday at the estate. Attendance mandatory for all true family members. Rosalind has exciting news." Responses flooded in immediately. "Can't wait." "So proud of our girl. Blessed to be part of this family." I watched the blue bubbles multiply, each one a tiny dagger. Then Genesis's gray bubble appeared. "Sorry, prior commitment." Seconds later, my phone dinged with a private message from her. "Don't let them break you. I see what's happening and it's wrong." I touched one of the white roses, feeling its velvet petals. Grandmother had always said white roses represented new beginnings, pure intentions, and sometimes justice. My phone rang. Felix again. "Sarah, you might want to turn on Channel 7 News." I grabbed the remote. There was Guillermo shaking hands with developers in front of the lake property. The caption read, "Historic Harper Estate Lake Development, luxury condos coming soon." "They can't do that," I said. "Grandmother protected that land. There are conservation easements." "Exactly," Felix cut in. "I've already called Maureen. Meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. Bring everything you have about the original transfer. It's time to show your family exactly what your grandmother left you." I stared at the TV, at Guillermo's smug face, at the pristine lakefront that had been in our family for generations. Grandmother's voice echoed in my head. A knight moves carefully, but when she strikes true. "I'll be there," I told Felix. "With everything." The meeting with Felix and Maureen started exactly at 9. I'd barely sat down when Maureen spread a stack of documents across her desk, her red reading glasses perched on her nose. "Your grandmother," she said, "was a brilliant woman, and apparently, a prophet." "What do you mean?" "This clause isn't just a clause. It's a trap door." Maureen pointed to highlighted sections. "If any family member attempts to manipulate the estate distribution through emotional coercion, financial pressure, or malicious intent, it triggers an automatic review." Felix leaned forward. "And the best part? The review must be conducted by an independent trustee, meaning neither your parents nor Rosalind can interfere." My phone buzzed. Genesis had sent a video. Rosalind giving an impromptu house tour on social media. She was in grandmother's study, pointing at the antique desk where I used to do homework. "This old thing's going on auction next week," Rosalind's voice chirped. "Time for something more modern." "They're liquidating everything," I said, showing them the video. Maureen's face hardened. "Without proper authorization? That's exactly what we need." She grabbed her phone. "I'm filing an immediate injunction." "What happens then?" I asked. "It gets messy," Felix warned. "Very public. Your family's dirty laundry will be on display." Before I could respond, my phone lit up again. A text from Lucia, one of the estate's longtime staff. "Miss Sarah? They're here with trucks, taking furniture. Mrs. Monica saying it's all approved but doesn't feel right." "They're doing it now," I said. "They're clearing out the house right now." Maureen was already dialing. "Judge Reynolds, emergency injunction needed on the Harper estate. Yes, immediate. No, they're actively removing assets." I stepped out into the hallway, hands shaking as I called Genesis. "They're taking everything," she answered without greeting. "Guillermo's orchestrating it like some kind of yard sale. Rosalind keeps saying out with the old, in with the new." "Can you stall them?" "I tried. Your mother said I'm just like Sarah, always interfering. Then Guillermo suggested maybe I shouldn't be involved in family business anymore." Felix appeared in the doorway, gesturing urgently. I went back inside where Maureen was hanging up her phone. "Judge Reynolds is signing the order now," she said. "But Sarah? Once this starts, there's no going back. Your family will fight dirty." "They already are," I replied, showing her another text from Lucia. "Mr. Guillermo saying they're getting top dollar for the antiques, making calls to private buyers." Maureen's eyes narrowed. "Without proper valuation or documentation? That's illegal." She turned to Felix. "Get Ross from Channel 7 on the phone. If they want to play dirty, let's shine some light on it." My phone rang, my mother's name flashing on screen. I answered on speaker. "How dare you?" she hissed. "Sending lawyers to interfere? This is Rosalind's property now." "Actually, Mother, it's not. Not legally." "You ungrateful little—" She caught herself. "You had your chance to be family. You chose otherwise." "No, you chose. You chose Rosalind over me, like always. But grandmother? She chose to protect me from exactly this." "Your grandmother was a controlling old woman who saw right through you," I cut in. "Check your email, Mother. The injunction's been granted. Touch one more piece of furniture and it's criminal theft." The silence was deafening. Then, "You'll regret this." I already regret a lot of things, but this isn't one of them. After she hung up, Felix showed me his phone. Ross from Channel 7 had texted. Story runs at 6. Family estate drama. Historic Harper property at center of legal battle. Want to comment? Not yet, I said. Let them sweat first. Maureen was already preparing more documents. The injunction freezes everything: accounts, properties, assets. They can't sell, transfer, or remove anything without court approval. Rosalind will be furious, I said. Rosalind's the least of their problems, Felix replied. Wait until the forensic accountants go through Guillermo's development deals. Your grandmother left very specific instructions about that land. My phone chimed with a series of texts. Rosalind. You evil bitch. Genesis. Holy shit, police just showed up with the injunction. Lucia. Movers leaving. Mr. Guillermo looking very angry. Then a final one from my father. You've destroyed this family. I looked at the messages, then at the lawyers working frantically to protect my grandmother's legacy. Our legacy. No, I whispered. You did that yourselves. I'm just finishing what grandmother started. Felix touched my shoulder. Ready for phase 2? I nodded, thinking of the antique desk where I'd done my homework, of white roses and chess pieces, of a clever old woman who'd seen it all coming. Ready. The injunction hit like a bomb at Rosalind's New Beginnings party. I watched it unfold through Genesis's discreet live updates. OMG, sheriff just walked in with papers. Middle of Rosalind's speech about transforming the estate for the future. Guillermo trying to stop them, sheriff not having it. Your mother just fainted, actually fainted. I sat in Felix's office, watching the security cameras we'd had installed after the furniture removal attempt. The party's elegant atmosphere shattered as uniformed officers moved through the crowd, posting notices and securing rooms. Quite a scene, Felix remarked, adjusting his laptop screen. Is that Guillermo trying to sneak files out through the kitchen? I leaned closer. Lucia's blocking him. Good girl. My phone buzzed. Genesis again. Rosalind screaming about her rights. Guillermo disappeared. Half the guests leaving. Should I stay? Yes, I texted back. Keep watching. Felix handed me a coffee. Ross's story runs in an hour. Your family's about to have a very bad evening. Right on cue, my father called. I put him on speaker. What have you done? His voice shook with rage. Protected grandmother's legacy, like she wanted. By humiliating your sister? Having police crash her party? By stopping you from selling off everything grandmother valued? How much was Guillermo offering those developers? Silence. That's what I thought, I said. Watch the news at 6. I hung up as Maureen rushed in, waving printouts. We've got them. Guillermo's been shopping the lake property to 3 different developers, all illegal without proper authorization. And Rosalind knew? I asked. Signed preliminary papers herself last week. Your mother, too. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. A photo of grandmother's antique desk, already in some warehouse. Want it back? Call off the dogs. Gee. I showed Felix. His eyes hardened. That's theft and extortion, adding it to the file. The security feed showed chaos at the estate. Guests hurrying to their cars, Rosalind being consoled by my mother, police tape across the library doors. Genesis appeared on screen, pretending to text while actually filming everything. Smart girl. Time to move? I asked Felix. He checked his watch. Ross goes live in 20 minutes. Let's do it. I pulled out the envelope I'd been saving. Grandmother's last Christmas card to Rosalind, the one she'd laughed at and tossed aside. Inside, grandmother had written, Remember, dear, pride comes before a fall. Choose wisdom over waste. I snapped a photo and posted it to Instagram, tagging Rosalind. Grandmother tried to warn you. Haz your karma, chas your justice. The response was immediate. My phone exploded with notifications as family members and party guests connected the dots. You vindictive bitch! Rosalind's message popped up. I'll destroy you. Already tried that, I typed back. How's it working out? Genesis sent a video. Rosalind throwing a champagne glass at the wall, screaming about betrayal while my mother tried to calm her. Guillermo was notably absent. "Your father's calling lawyers," Genesis texted. "Lots of lawyers." "Let him," Felix said, reading over my shoulder. "The clause is ironclad. Your grandmother had 5 different firms review it." Channel 7 News appeared on Felix's office TV. Ross's familiar face filled the screen. Breaking news: historic Harper estate at center of family legal battle. Sources say unauthorized sales, possible fraud. My phone rang. Rosalind. "Don't," Felix warned. I answered anyway. "Yes?" "I'll tell them everything," she hissed. "About you, about why grandmother really liked you best. All the secrets." I laughed. "Go ahead. I have nothing to hide. You're the one selling protected property and stealing antiques. I deserved this estate. I'm the one with vision." "Vision? Or just expensive taste and poor judgment?" "They'll all hate you for this," she spat. "They already do. Difference is, now they'll have to respect me." I hung up as Genesis sent another update. Guillermo just peeled out of the driveway. Rosalind crying. Your mother asking about criminal charges. Felix handed me another document. "Ready to file the full lawsuit? Once we do, everything becomes public record." I thought of grandmother's words. A knight moves carefully, but when she strikes true. "Do it," I said. "Make sure Rosalind feels it. I want them to look me in the eye when it all comes down." Felix nodded and pressed send. On the security feed, I watched my family's carefully constructed world begin to crumble. One notification at a time. Genesis's final text of the night. "Holy shit, Sarah, you really did it. What happens now?" I looked at Felix, at the TV showing Ross's report, at the security feed of my childhood home wrapped in police tape. "Now?" I replied. "Now we wait for the storm." The media circus hit full swing by morning. I woke to Ross's voice on every local channel. The Harper family war, scandal, betrayal, and a grandmother's secret will. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since dawn. Old family friends choosing sides, distant relatives emerging from woodwork, all wanting to know the real story. Genesis called early. "Your mother's on her way to your apartment." "What? How?" "She strong-armed your address out of your old assistant. Heads up, she's not alone." 20 minutes later, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find my mother, perfectly coiffed despite everything, with Rosalind red-eyed beside her. "May we come in?" Mother's voice was arctic. I stepped aside. They swept in, taking in my modest living room with identical expressions of distaste. "So this is where you plot your revenge?" Rosalind sneered. "Actually, I plot at the office. This is where I drink wine and watch you melt down on Instagram." Mother's hand flew to her chest. "How dare you? After what you've done to this family." "What I've done?" I laughed. "Let's talk about what you did. Shall we start with the illegal furniture sales or jump straight to Guillermo's development fraud?" "Those deals were legitimate," Rosalind protested. "Really? Is that why Guillermo's not answering his phone? Why he emptied your joint account last night?" Rosalind's face went white. What?" "Check your banking app." She fumbled with her phone, then sank onto my couch. No. "That's what you get," Mother snapped at her, "trusting that man with access to—" She caught herself, but too late. "To what, Mother? The money you helped him embezzle from the estate." My phone buzzed. "Felix. News vans outside the estate. Guillermo spotted at airport." Mother saw the message over my shoulder. Her composure cracked. "You've ruined everything. Your sister's life, our reputation. You did that yourselves. I just exposed it." "Because you're jealous!" Rosalind shrieked. "You've always been jealous of me." "Jealous? Of what? Your 4th failed business? Your fraudster boyfriend? Your talent for burning through grandmother's money?" "Girls, please." Mother stepped between us. "Sarah, we can fix this. Call off the lawyers. We'll give you a share." Too late. I showed them my phone. Ross was live again, standing in front of the estate. Police investigating potential fraud. Sources suggest millions in misappropriated funds. Rosalind lunged for the phone. I sidestepped and she stumbled. "Face it," I said. "It's over. Guillermo's gone, the money's gone, and soon the estate will be under court supervision." "You bitch!" Rosalind swung at me. I caught her wrist. "Don't," I warned. "Security cameras, remember?" Mother collapsed into a chair. "What do you want? To destroy us completely?" "I want what grandmother wanted, the estate preserved, not sold off piece by piece to fund Rosalind's delusions." My phone buzzed again. Genesis. Police at estate asking about missing antiques. Lucia showed them shipping receipts with Guillermo's signature. Rosalind's phone rang. Her face crumpled as she read the screen. Guillermo's numbers disconnected. "Shocking," I said. "Almost like he used you to access the estate's assets." Mother stood suddenly. "This isn't over. Your father's lawyers can't override grandmother's will. The clause is clear. In case of attempted fraud, I become executor. Everything freezes until audit completion." "How long?" Rosalind whispered. "Months. Maybe years. Hope you saved some of that party champagne." Mother grabbed Rosalind's arm. "We're leaving. But remember, Sarah, karma works both ways." "Funny," I replied. "That's exactly what grandmother said when she wrote that clause." After they left, I texted Genesis. "They just left. Mother threatening karma." "Speaking of karma," she replied, "police want to talk to Rosalind about those missing antiques. Also, your father's having chest pains." I sat heavily on my couch, suddenly exhausted. Felix called. "You okay? Saw your mother's car leaving." "I'm fine. They're not." "Good timing. Judge just approved the full audit. We start tomorrow." I looked at the family photo on my wall, all of us at grandmother's last birthday. She'd known even then. Known what they'd do, known what I'd have to become to stop them. "Sarah?" Felix's voice softened. "This is just the beginning. It's going to get uglier." "I know." I touched the photo, my finger resting on grandmother's knowing smile. But she prepared me for this. Prepared me for all of it. My phone lit up with Rosalind's final text. "You won't have anyone left when this is done." "Maybe," I typed back. "But at least I'll have the truth. And grandmother's legacy." I blocked her number and called Felix back. "Let's start the audit tomorrow. I want to know everything." The audit team arrived at dawn, a small army of accountants and investigators who descended on the estate like locusts. I watched from grandmother's study as they cataloged every missing item, every suspicious transaction, every deleted email. "Miss Sarah?" Lucia appeared at the door. "They found something in Mr. Guillermo's office." I followed her to what had been the estate's guest house, now converted into Guillermo's business center. An investigator was holding up a false bottom from a desk drawer, revealing a stack of papers. "Forged signatures," she explained, spreading them out. "Dozens of them. Your sister's, your mother's, even attempts at copying your grandmother's." My phone buzzed. Genesis. "Rosalind just tried to access the estate accounts, all frozen. She's losing it." As if on cue, tires screeched in the driveway. Rosalind burst in, designer handbag swinging like a weapon. "Where is it?" she screamed. "Where's my money?" "Your money?" I stepped between her and the investigators. "You mean grandmother's money?" "I need it. Guillermo's gone. The credit cards are maxed, and the bank's calling about the mortgage." "Miss?" an investigator interrupted. "We need to document these forgeries. Would you like to make a statement about them?" Rosalind's face went from red to white. I don't know anything about." "Really?" I picked up one document. "This is your signature, authorizing a transfer of $50,000 to an account in Panama. Want to explain that?" She crumpled into a chair. "He said it was for investments." "Miss Harper?" Another investigator appeared. We found evidence of wire transfers to multiple offshore accounts, all authorized by either Mr. Guillermo or your mother. My phone lit up again. Felix, police just picked up your mother for questioning. Your father's lawyer quit. Rosalind started crying. I didn't know. He promised we'd be rich. You were rich, I said. You had your share of a historic estate. But that wasn't enough, was it? Your sister needs medical attention, Lucia murmured, watching Rosalind rock back and forth. I nodded and called Genesis. Can you come get Rosalind? She's not well. On my way. BTW. Ross is outside with cameras. They found Guillermo. Where? Mexico. With his wife. His what? Rosalind's head snapped up. His wife? I showed her the breaking news alert on my phone. Harper Estate scandal update. Key figure located in Mexico City with longtime spouse. She vomited on the antique rug. While Genesis took Rosalind home, I met with the lead investigator in grandmother's study. It's worse than we thought, she said, spreading out documents. Your mother and Guillermo were siphoning money for months before your grandmother died. And after, the floodgates opened. How much? Millions. The development deals were just the tip. There were art sales, jewelry liquidations, even attempts to mortgage protected land. My phone buzzed with a text from my father. You've destroyed your mother. Are you happy now? Before I could respond, Felix called. Sarah, Judge Reynolds wants to meet. Now. An hour later, I sat in the judge's chambers while she reviewed the preliminary findings. She shook her head. This is extraordinary. The level of fraud, the systematic looting of a protected estate. What happens now? I asked. Now? You become executor, as per your grandmother's clause. Full control, with oversight from the court until the investigation concludes. And my family? Will likely face charges. The evidence of fraud is overwhelming. I left the courthouse to find Ross waiting. Sarah, can we get a statement about your mother's arrest? No comment, I said, but he persisted. What about Guillermo's secret life? Or the missing millions? Your sister's breakdown? I stopped. Just say this. My grandmother knew. She knew everything. Back at the estate, I found Genesis in the library, running her hand along the spines of grandmother's books, the ones Rosalind hadn't managed to sell. It's really over, isn't it? She asked. No, I said, sitting in grandmother's favorite chair. Now comes the hard part. What's harder than this? Living with it. Running the estate. Being the one they all blame. My phone chimed with a message from Maureen. Police want to speak with Rosalind tomorrow. Should I be present? Genesis touched my shoulder. Was it worth it? I looked around the library, at the empty spaces where artwork had hung, at the gaps in the bookshelves, at the ghost of what had been. Ask me in a year, I said. Right now I just feel hollow? Yeah, hollow. But somewhere, I imagined grandmother nodding in approval. The night had made her move. The board was cleared. Now came the real test. What to do with victory? The courthouse was packed for the final hearing. 6 months of investigations, arrests, and revelations had led to this moment. I sat in the front row, watching my family file in like defeated soldiers. Rosalind entered first, hollow-eyed and thin, her designer clothes replaced by department store basics. Then my father, leaning on a cane, aged decades in months. Finally, my mother, handcuffed, escorted by officers. All rise, the bailiff called. Judge Reynolds took her seat, reviewing the thick file before her. This has been one of the most egregious cases of estate fraud I've ever encountered. My mother's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client wishes to make a statement. Proceed. My mother rose, those familiar coral-painted lips trembling. I did it for my daughter. Everything I did was to secure Rosalind's future. By committing fraud? Judge Reynolds asked. By helping steal millions from your own mother's estate? You don't understand, my mother pleaded. Rosalind needed boundaries, I interrupted, standing. Not enablers. Miss Harper, the judge warned, wait your turn. I sat back down as Genesis squeezed my hand. Felix leaned forward from the row behind, whispering, "Let them dig their own graves." Rosalind's attorney spoke next. "My client was manipulated by Mr. Guillermo, who remains at large. She had no knowledge of—" "That's a lie," I called out. "Show them the videos." The prosecutor nodded, and the courtroom screen lit up. There was Rosalind caught on security cameras, helping Guillermo load grandmother's antiques into trucks. Another clip showed her signing documents, laughing about fooling the old lady's lawyers. "Turn it off," Rosalind sobbed. "Please." "The evidence is overwhelming," Judge Reynolds declared. "Mrs. Monica Harper, this court sentences you to 5 years for fraud and embezzlement. Miss Rosalind Harper, 3 years probation and restitution payments. Mr. Adam Harper, given your health and limited involvement, house arrest for 1 year." My mother crumpled. My father stared at the floor. Rosalind looked straight at me, her eyes burning. "You've won," she spat. "Happy now?" Before I could respond, Judge Reynolds continued. "Furthermore, as per Lorelei Harper's will and its special provisions, all estate control transfers permanently to Sarah Harper, with court oversight for 1 year." The gavel fell like thunder. As officers led my mother away, she turned to me. "I hope you're satisfied. Your grandmother would be so proud of how you've destroyed this family." "No," I stood, my voice carrying across the quiet courtroom. "Grandmother would be heartbroken to see what you became, what you made Rosalind become. She tried to warn you all, but you were too busy plotting to listen." "Sarah," my father called weakly, "please, some mercy." "Mercy?" I walked over to him. "Like when you signed away my inheritance? Like when you watched them steal everything grandmother built?" "I was wrong," he whispered. "We were all wrong." Genesis appeared at my side. "Sarah, the media's waiting outside. We should go." But I wasn't finished. I turned to Rosalind, who stood trembling between her lawyers. "You know what's funny?" I said. "If you'd just asked, I would have shared everything. The estate, the money, all of it. But you had to take it all, didn't you? Had to prove you were the special one." "I hate you," she whispered. "I know. But I don't hate you. I pity you." Outside, reporters swarmed. Ross pushed through with his microphone. "Sarah, how does it feel to win?" I looked at the cameras, thought of grandmother's last words about karma and justice. "There are no winners here," I said. "Only lessons. Very expensive lessons." Back at the estate, I found Lucia placing fresh white roses in grandmother's study, our tradition now. "The police called," she said. "They found more of the antiques in a storage unit, and Mr. Guillermo's wife is cooperating." "Good." I sat in grandmother's chair, touching the worn leather armrest. "Did I do the right thing, Lucia? Your grandmother once told me, sometimes love means letting people face consequences. She knew this day would come." My phone buzzed. "Genesis. Your mother wants to see you before they transfer her. Should I tell her no?" I thought of chess pieces, of knights and queens, of moves that can't be taken back. "Tell her yes," I replied. "Some things need to be said face to face." Lucia placed a rose in my hand. "The white ones mean new beginnings, miss." "I know." I smiled, remembering grandmother's lessons. "But they also mean truth. And truth, Lucia? Truth is the sharpest sword of all." The prison visiting room smelled of industrial cleaner and stale coffee. My mother sat across from me, orange jumpsuit replacing her designer clothes, coral lipstick conspicuously absent. "You look well," she said stiffly. "You look orange." She flinched. "I didn't ask you here for jokes." "Why did you ask me here?" She pulled out a worn envelope. "This arrived yesterday, from Guillermo's wife." I took it carefully. Inside were photos, dozens of them. Guillermo with his family in Mexico, living large on stolen money. Rosalind featured in many, draped over him at parties, both of them laughing. "He played us all," my mother whispered, "but especially her. You let him. You helped him." I thought. She pressed her hands flat against the table. "I thought I was protecting her, making sure she had everything. Everything except boundaries, or consequences, or real love." A guard approached. "Time's up." My mother stood. "Your grandmother. In the end, was she disappointed in me?" "No," I said. "She was scared for you. For all of us." Outside, Genesis waited in her car. "How was it?" "Enlightening." I showed her the photos. "Guillermo's wife sent these. Proof of everything." "Rosalind's seen them?" "Not yet, but she will." I started the engine. "First, we have somewhere to be." We drove to the estate, where Felix waited with a small group on the front steps. The sign behind them read, "Harper House Youth Center, Grand Opening." "Ready?" Genesis asked. "Grandmother always said the estate should serve a purpose," I replied. "Time to give it one." Inside, the renovated rooms buzzed with energy. Where Rosalind had planned luxury condos, there were now classrooms. The library, restored with recovered books, housed a tutoring center. The gardens would teach kids about nature and sustainability. "Miss Sarah?" Lucia appeared with a package. "This was in your grandmother's safe. Instructions said to open it today." The envelope contained a single photo and a letter. The photo showed grandmother in this same library, reading to a young me while Rosalind played nearby. "My dearest Sarah," the letter began. "If you're reading this, the storm I feared has come and gone. You've faced terrible choices. But remember, revenge fills the stomach but starves the soul. True justice creates something new from the ashes of the old." Felix joined us, reviewing donor lists. "Your father called. He'd like to volunteer, teach chess to the kids once his house arrest ends." "And Rosalind?" Genesis checked her phone. "Still in therapy. But her counselor says she's finally talking about Guillermo, about everything." The sound of children's voices filled the hall, our first tour group arriving. I tucked the letter away and straightened grandmother's portrait on the wall. "Sarah?" a familiar voice called. I turned to find Ross from Channel 7. "Here for another scandal story?" "Actually," he smiled, "here to cover how an ugly family drama turned into something beautiful." "Care to comment?" I looked around at what we'd built, not just preserved, but transformed. Sometimes the best revenge is living well, and helping others live better. That evening, I sat in grandmother's study, my study now, when Genesis brought in a letter from Rosalind. "She's been writing these in therapy," Genesis explained. "This one she actually wanted sent." The letter was short. "I don't forgive you yet. Maybe never will. But I understand now. About grandmother, about consequences, about Guillermo. I'm working on myself. Maybe someday I'll work on us. Our progress," Genesis said softly. "Maybe." I placed the letter in my desk. Or maybe just a beginning. My phone buzzed. A text from my father. "Proud of what you're doing with the place. Your grandmother would be too." I walked to the window, watching the sunset paint the gardens gold. Lucia was teaching a group of kids about grandmother's beloved white roses. "Miss Sarah?" One of our new staff appeared. "The after-school program starts tomorrow. We need your approval on the schedule." I smiled, remembering grandmother's words about justice and new beginnings, about building something from ashes. "Let me see it," I said, taking my seat. Not as the family outcast, not as the revenge seeker, but as something else. Something grandmother had seen in me all along. A builder, a teacher, a protector of legacies worth keeping. Genesis touched the chess set on my desk, the one grandmother had used to teach me strategy all those years ago. "Game over?" she asked. "No," I replied, watching the children in the garden, thinking of letters from prison and therapy rooms, of fathers learning to teach again, of sisters slowly finding their way back to themselves. Not over, just changing moves.
The crystal champagne flute trembled in my hand as my mother-in-law Helen raised her glass for what felt like the 100th toast of the evening. The Montgomery family never did anything small, especially celebrations. "To our dearest Denise," Helen's voice rang across their sprawling living room, whose promotion to senior financial controller proves that when one of us succeeds, the whole family succeeds. I forced a smile, catching my best friend Olive's knowing eye roll from across the room. She'd been warning me for years about how suffocating the Montgomerys could be, but I'd always defended them. After all, what family wouldn't be proud of their daughter-in-law landing a 6-figure position at one of the city's top firms? My husband Damien squeezed my shoulder. "You deserve this, honey. We're all so proud." The party was extravagant. Catered appetizers, premium champagne, even a custom cake with "Congratulations, Denise," written in perfect gold script. I should have felt on top of the world, but something felt off. Maybe it was the way Helen kept emphasizing family success, or how Damien's sister Natalia's smile never quite reached her eyes. "Speech," Kenneth, my father-in-law, called out. "Let's hear from the woman of the hour." I smoothed my black cocktail dress and stood. "I'm not great at speeches, but thank you all for this incredible party. I'm touched by your support and—" "Oh, darling," Helen interrupted, "you're being modest. Tell everyone about the wonderful opportunities this means for our family's future." Before I could respond, a sharp cry pierced the air. Everyone turned toward the sound. "Sorry," Natalia jumped up. "That's just the baby monitor. Must have knocked it on while setting up. I'll grab it." "I've got it," I said quickly, spotting the small device on the side table. "I'm headed to the powder room anyway." I slipped the monitor into my purse, intending to return it later. As I made my way down the hallway, Olive caught up with me. "You okay? You seem tense." "Just overwhelmed. Helen's being—" "Helen?" Olive snorted. "You mean overbearing and controlling. I saw her reorganizing your desk in your home office last week when you were in the kitchen. She means well," I said automatically, though my stomach twisted. "She just wants to be involved." "There's involved, and then there's whatever this is." Olive gestured around at the party. "Did you even want this celebration?" Before I could answer, Natalia appeared. "Denise, Mum needs you in the kitchen. Something about the cake serving." In the kitchen, Helen and Aunt Jasmine were huddled near the sink, speaking in hushed tones. They straightened up when I entered. "There you are!" Helen beamed. "We were just saying how rewarding it is to support your career for everyone's sake." Something in her tone made me pause. The way Jasmine wouldn't meet my eyes. The slight emphasis on everyone's. "What do you mean by that?" "Oh, you know," Helen waved dismissively. "Family takes care of family." Now, about the cake. Later, as guests began filtering out, I helped clear glasses from the living room. My purse sat forgotten on a chair, the baby monitor inside still switched on. As I reached for it, voices drifted through the speaker, coming from Kenneth's study upstairs. Too focused on her career to notice. I froze, Helen's voice crystal clear through the device. "Diverting her paychecks to our family fund." My heart stopped. That was Damien's voice. My husband's voice. "She trusts me completely," he continued, laughing. "Signs whatever I put in front of her." The crystal glass in my hand nearly slipped. I caught it, my knuckles white against the stem. 6 years of marriage. 6 years of thinking I'd finally found a family who supported my ambitions, who celebrated my success. "Denise?" Olive's voice made me jump. "You look like you've seen a ghost." I clicked off the monitor and slipped it into my pocket, plastering on a smile that felt like it might crack my face. Just tired. Big day. But as I watched Damien laugh with his parents across the room, something cold and hard settled in my chest. They thought I was too focused on my career to notice? Well, they were about to learn exactly how focused I could be. I hugged Olive goodbye, already planning my next move. Thanks for coming. I have a feeling I'm going to need your legal expertise soon. She raised an eyebrow, but I just smiled. The party might be ending, but something else was just beginning. I waited until Damien's breathing deepened into sleep before slipping out of bed. The baby monitor felt heavy in my pocket as I crept downstairs to the kitchen. Helen had insisted we stay the night after the party, claiming we'd had too much champagne to drive. Now I wondered if there was another reason. My hand shook as I pulled out the device. Part of me hoped I'd imagined what I'd heard earlier, that it was just party stress playing tricks on my mind. I pressed play on the recorded conversation. She's been so distracted with this promotion, Helen's voice crackled through the speaker. It's perfect timing, really. The new salary bump will help cover Kenneth's debts, Damien replied, and that investment property Natalia's been eyeing. Speaking of properties, Kenneth's gruff voice joined in, that joint account paperwork you had her sign last month? Brilliant move, son! My stomach lurched. Last month's paperwork. Damien had caught me rushing between meetings, thrust a stack of documents in my face. Just some account updates, honey. You know how the bank is with their endless forms. How much have we managed to divert so far? Natalia asked. Nearly 200,000, Helen said proudly. Our little financial controller never even noticed, too busy climbing the corporate ladder. The mug I was holding slipped from my fingers, clattering into the sink. I barely caught it before it could shatter and wake everyone. What are you doing up? I spun around to find Jasmine in the doorway, wrapped in a floral robe. I clicked off the monitor and slipped it behind the coffee maker. Couldn't sleep. Too much excitement, I guess. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Quite a celebration Helen threw you. She's always been passionate about family affairs. Seems like the whole family is passionate about affairs, I muttered before I could stop myself. Jasmine's expression flickered. What do you mean by that? Nothing, just tired. I forced a yawn. Think I'll head back up. Denise? She caught my arm as I passed. Family can be complicated. Sometimes what looks like betrayal is just protection. I pulled away, my skin crawling. Did she know? Was she part of it too? Back in the guest room, I lay rigid beside Damien, my mind racing. $200,000. All those times he'd insisted on handling our finances because I was too busy. The joint accounts I'd barely looked at. The investment discussions I'd missed because of work meetings. My phone buzzed with a text from Olive. You okay? You seemed off at the party. Call me. I typed back, need your help. But not here. Meet tomorrow. Bring your lawyer brain. The response was immediate. My office, 9 a.m, what's going on? Before I could reply, Damien stirred. Babe? Why are you up? Just checking work emails, I lied smoothly. Big presentation next week. He chuckled, pulling me close. Always working. That's my girl. His kiss on my temple felt like acid. You know, Mum was thinking we should have a family meeting tomorrow about the promotion and future planning. Future planning? You know, investments, shared goals, family stuff. His hand rubbed my back in what used to feel comforting. Now it made my skin crawl. There's this opportunity Kenneth heard about. Sounds great. I forced myself to sound eager. But I have meetings all day tomorrow. Rain check. The family's counting on you being there, he pressed. Can't you reschedule? I sat up, finally trusting myself to look at him in the dim light. My husband of 6 years. The man I'd trusted with everything. Actually, you're right. Family should come first. I'll move some things around. His relief was palpable. That's my girl. Mum will be so pleased. I lay back down, letting him pull me against his chest while my mind raced. Let them have their family meeting. Let them think I was still their naive, career-obsessed cash cow. But first, I needed proof. As Damien's breathing evened out again, I carefully reached for my phone. To Olive. Change of plans. Need you to look into something first. How fast can you get bank records? Her reply came seconds later. How far back? I thought about Helen's smug voice. $200,000, 6 years of lies. All of it, I typed back. Every last penny. Tomorrow, they'd see the dutiful daughter-in-law they expected. But today, I was going to become the financial controller they never bargained for. I closed my eyes, not to sleep, but to plan. They thought I was too focused on my career to notice. They were about to learn that attention to detail was exactly what I did best. You've got to be kidding me. Brian pushed his glasses up his nose, staring at the stack of bank statements spread across his desk. They've been siphoning money through 7 different accounts. I'd called in every favour I had to get Brian, my old college friend and now forensic accountant, to see me on such short notice. His downtown office felt safer than meeting at Olive's law firm, where Natalia's best friend worked as a paralegal. Look at this pattern, he pointed to a series of transactions. Every time you got a bonus or raise, there's a matching transfer to this account in Helen's name. They didn't even try to hide it well. They didn't think they had to, I said, my voice tight. Show me everything. Brian pulled up a digital spreadsheet. Regular transfers to Kenneth's account, labelled as household expenses, way more than your actual bills. Investment accounts in Damien's name that you supposedly authorised. Even a vacation property down payment. The beach house, my hands clenched, the one Helen said was a family inheritance. Bought with your money 3 months ago. He hesitated. There's more. Someone's been taking out loans in your name. The room spun. What? Through Jasmine's credit union. 3 so far, all with your electronic signature. A knock at the door made us both jump. Olive slipped in, looking grim. Sorry, I'm late. Had to dodge Natalia in the courthouse lobby. She took in my face. What did I miss? Show her, I said to Brian. While he walked Olive through the evidence, I checked my phone. 5 missed calls from Damien. 3 from Helen. A text from Natalia. Where are you? Everyone's waiting. The family meeting. I'd forgotten all about it. They're going to notice something's wrong soon, Olive warned, looking up from the documents. We need to move fast. Already on it. Brian turned his laptop around. I've flagged suspicious transactions, documented the fraud patterns, and started tracing where the money went. But Denise, this is serious criminal stuff. We should contact the authorities. My phone buzzed again. Damien. Honey, Mum's really upset. Please come home. We need to discuss something important. Not yet, I said. I need to know exactly what they're planning first. At least let me file an emergency injunction, Olive pleaded. Freeze the accounts before they can move more money. If we do that, they'll know I'm onto them. I need them to think I'm still in the dark. I stood up, straightening my blazer. Besides, I have a family meeting to attend. Denise! Olive's voice was worried. Trust me. I gathered my purse. Brian, how fast can you get me a complete forensic report? Give me 48 hours, but be careful. People who steal from family can be dangerous when cornered. I thought about Helen's calculating smile, Damien's practiced lies, the way they'd all laughed about deceiving me. I'm counting on it. The drive home gave me time to compose myself. I pulled into the driveway just as Natalia stormed out the front door. Finally! Where have you been? Mum's been calling for hours. Sorry, work emergency. I followed her inside where the family sat around the dining room table. Helen's face was tear-stained. Kenneth looked grave, and Damien jumped up to hug me. "Baby, thank God. We've been so worried." "What's going on?" I asked, letting just the right amount of concern colour my voice. Helen dabbed her eyes. "It's your father-in-law. The doctors found something. The treatments. We need your help, Denise." I watched Kenneth bow his head, playing his part perfectly. Watched Damien squeeze my hand, his wedding ring suddenly feeling like a brand on my skin. "Of course," I said softly. "Whatever the family needs. How much are we talking about?" "The specialist wants 50,000 up front," Helen said. "I know it's a lot, but with your new promotion..." "We've all sacrificed so much for each other," Damien added. "This is what family does." I thought about Brian's spreadsheet, about the beach house bought with my stolen money, about the loans taken out in my name. "You're right," I said, meeting Helen's eyes. "Family sacrifices for each other. Give me until tomorrow to arrange the transfer. I want to do this right." The relief in the room was palpable. Helen hugged me, her perfume suffocating. "We knew we could count on you, dear." My phone vibrated. A text from Brian. "Found something big. Natalia's been skimming extra. They don't know." I hugged Helen back, smiling over her shoulder at my husband. "After all," I said, "what's family for?" Tomorrow, they'd learn exactly what family was for. But tonight, I had some transfers of my own to arrange. "You're telling me Natalia's been running her own scam?" I stared at Brian's laptop screen in disbelief. We were meeting in a quiet coffee shop this time, far from both our offices. "Look at these transactions." He pointed to a series of transfers. Every time money went into the family fund, a portion disappeared into an offshore account, one that only Natalia can access. "How much?" "Nearly 50,000. She's been stealing from the people stealing from you." I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "Honor among thieves?" "There's more." Brian lowered his voice. "That medical emergency they're using to pressure you? Kenneth's been to exactly one doctor this year for a routine physical." My phone lit up with Damien's face. I declined the call, adding it to the growing list of ignored messages. He'd been extra attentive since yesterday's family meeting, bringing me breakfast in bed, offering to massage my shoulders while I arranged the transfer. "Have you signed anything recently?" Brian asked. "Any documents at all?" "No. I've been..." My voice trailed off as I remembered. "Wait. Last night, Damien asked me to sign a birthday card for his cousin. Said he was in a rush to mail it." Brian's face darkened. "Show me." I pulled up a photo I'd taken of the envelope before signing. Brian examined it, then swore under his breath. "This isn't a card envelope. It's sized for legal documents. They're still trying to get your signature on something." My phone buzzed again. Helen this time. "Darling, we need to finalize everything today. Kenneth's appointment is tomorrow morning." "They're getting desperate," I said. "Good." "Denise," Brian closed his laptop. "These people aren't just thieves. They're professional con artists. You need to be careful." "I am being careful. That's why I'm meeting Olive at the bank in an hour to..." "Denise?" My blood froze. Natalia stood by our table, designer handbag clutched tight. "I thought you were homesick. That's what Damien told Mum." I glanced at Brian's laptop, now thankfully closed. "Just getting some fresh air and coffee with an old friend." Her eyes narrowed at Brian. "Does Damien know you're meeting strange men for coffee?" "Brian's an accountant," I said smoothly, "helping me understand some tax implications of my promotion. Speaking of which, how's that property investment you were looking at?" Something flickered in her expression. "What property?" "The one you mentioned at my party. Unless..." I widened my eyes innocently. "Was that supposed to be a surprise?" "I should go." She backed away, already pulling out her phone. "Feel better, Denise?" The moment she left, I grabbed my things. "She's calling them right now." "Go," Brian said. "I'll get everything to Olive." Just watch your back. I made it to the bank just as Olive arrived, looking worried. Natalia called Damien. He's on his way here. Perfect. I straightened my jacket. Let's do this fast. Inside, I approached the manager's desk with my most professional smile. Hi, I need to discuss some irregularities with my accounts. 20 minutes later, Damien burst in, Helen and Kenneth right behind him. They froze when they saw Olive in her lawyer suit, documents spread across the manager's desk. Honey? Damien's voice wavered. What's going on? Just reviewing some interesting transactions. I kept my voice light. Care to explain why my salary's been going to accounts I never authorized? Denise. Helen stepped forward, tears already forming. You don't understand. Kenneth's condition is non-existent. I slid Brian's report across the desk. Just like the family fund, just like your beach house inheritance. Whatever you think you found, Kenneth started, but Olive cut him off. My client has comprehensive documentation of systematic fraud, unauthorized accounts, and forged signatures. She's prepared to press charges unless certain conditions are met. Damien reached for my hand. I pulled away. Baby, please. We can explain everything. Explain what? I met his eyes. How you've stolen over $200,000 from me. How you forged my signature. Or maybe... I turned to Natalia, who had just rushed in. How about you explain your private offshore account? The colour drained from her face. Helen whirled on her daughter. What is she talking about? I don't. Natalia's voice cracked. Mum, she's lying. Actually, Olive interjected, we have proof of everything, including the loans taken out in Denise's name through Aunt Jasmine's credit union. The manager cleared his throat. Should I contact the authorities? That depends. I stood up, facing my husband and his family. Are you ready to talk about paying everything back? Or should we let the police handle this family emergency? The silence that followed was deafening. In it, I could hear everything crumbling. My marriage, their schemes, the web of lies they'd spun so carefully. And honestly, the sound was beautiful. The loans were Helen's idea. Jasmine's voice crackled through my phone speaker. After the bank confrontation, she'd called me in a panic. She said you'd never notice that Damien had everything under control. I sat in Olive's office, speakerphone on, recording everything. And you just went along with it. They promised me a cut, said it was just temporary, that once Kenneth's investments paid off. She broke down sobbing. Helen's my sister. I trusted her. Like I trusted my husband? My voice could have frozen hell. How many other loans are there, Jasmine? Silence. Jasmine? 2 more, she whispered. I approved last week. Helen said it was urgent. Olive scribbled something on her legal pad and slid it across the desk. She's lying. Bank shows 4 new loans. I want copies of everything, I said into the phone, in every document, every email, every text, or you'll be the first one I press charges against. You can't! I'll lose my job at the credit union. Should have thought about that before committing fraud. After she hung up, Olive leaned back. That's 3 family members turning on each other. Helen's empire is crumbling. Speaking of Helen, I pulled up my messages. Dozens from her, each more desperate than the last. The latest caught my eye. We need to talk. Alone. Come to the house tonight. Don't, Olive warned. It's a trap. Of course it is. I grabbed my coat. That's why you're coming with me. The drive to Helen's house was tense. When we pulled up, I noticed Damien's car in the driveway. Remember, Olive said, don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything and keep recording. Helen opened the door before we could knock. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide her red-rimmed eyes. Denise, thank God. Who's this? My lawyer, I pushed past her. Where's Damien? Here. He emerged from Kenneth's study, looking haggard. Baby, please. Can we talk privately? Nothing's private anymore. I entered the study, where Kenneth sat slumped at his desk. Where's Natalia? Gone, Helen spat. Took off after your little bank ambush. Won't answer her phone. Probably busy moving money from her offshore account. Kenneth's head snapped up. What offshore account? The one she's been filling with money stolen from your stolen money. I pulled out Brian's report. Want to see the transactions? This is ridiculous. Helen stepped forward. We're family. We can work this out without lawyers and accusations. Family? I laughed. Is that what you call people you steal from? We didn't steal, Damien protested. We were investing, building a future. With my money? Without my knowledge? You were too busy with your career to handle the finances properly, Helen said. We were protecting you. By forging my signature? By taking out fraudulent loans? That was, Helen faltered. We needed emergency funds. For what? Kenneth's fake medical condition? The beach house? Or Natalia's shopping sprees? Silence fell. Kenneth looked at his wife. What beach house? Not now, dear. Helen's voice sharpened. Denise, be reasonable. If you press charges, it'll ruin everyone, including yourself. Think of the scandal, your career. My career. I stepped closer. The one you said made me too busy to notice you robbing me blind. That career. Please, Damien reached for me. We can fix this. Together. I love you. I pulled away. You love my paycheck. Enough! Helen slammed her hand on the desk. What do you want? Money? We'll pay you back. Just stop this madness. Oh, you'll pay me back. I nodded to Olive, who pulled out a document. Every penny plus interest, and you'll sign confessions detailing exactly what you did. Or what? Helen's eyes narrowed. Or I send this evidence to the police, the credit union board, and your country club committee. How's that for family loyalty? Kenneth grabbed the document, scanning it. Helen, how much did you actually take? Don't sign anything, she snapped, but he was already reading, his face growing paler. 200,000? The beach house? Natalia's account? He looked up at his wife. What have you done? What? I had to, Helen screamed. To keep this family afloat. To give our children the life they deserve. Children like Natalia, who stole from you too. I pulled out my phone, showing them the transfer records. Face it, Helen. Your perfect family is a house of cards, and it's falling down. Damien sank into a chair, head in his hands. Dad's medical emergency. Was that even real? Ask your mother, I said coldly. She seems to be the expert on family emergencies. The study door burst open. Natalia stood there, mascara streaked down her face. Mum, the bank just called. They're freezing all our accounts. I smiled. Now, that's what I call a family emergency. The foreclosure notice is real this time. Kenneth slapped a stack of papers onto the dining room table. 3 days had passed since the bank confrontation, and Helen had summoned everyone for another emergency family meeting. No more lies, Helen. We're losing the house. That's impossible. Helen's perfectly manicured nails drummed against her coffee cup. What about the investment returns you promised? There were no returns, Kenneth's voice cracked. I lost everything in the market crash. The money we took from Denise was keeping us afloat. I sat silently, watching their world unravel. Olive had advised against attending this meeting, but I needed to see this. We still have the beach house, Natalia suggested weakly. The beach house we bought with stolen money? Damien snapped. Great plan, sis. Maybe we can sell it to pay for our legal defence. Don't you dare blame me, Natalia shot back. At least I didn't steal from my own wife. No, you just stole from all of us. Helen's voice dripped venom. Your own family. Enough. Kenneth slammed his hand down. Denise, please. There must be something we can work out. I pulled out a manila envelope. Funny you should mention that. What's that? Helen's eyes narrowed. Everything. I spread the contents across the table. Bank statements, transfer records, loan documents, forged signatures, even emails discussing your little schemes. Damien reached for the papers, but I pulled them back. The originals are with my lawyer and the police. You called the police? Helen went pale. Not yet, but I will, unless you all sign this. I produced another set of documents. Full confession, complete repayment plan, and a restraining order keeping you away from me and my finances. This is extortion, Helen hissed. No, this is karma. I met her eyes. You have 1 hour to decide. Sign or I press charges. We don't have the money to pay you back, Natalia wailed. The beach house sells first, I said coldly. Then Helen's precious jewellery collection, Kenneth's golf club membership, your designer wardrobe, Natalia, everything. And what about me? Damien's voice was quiet. Where do I fit in your revenge plan? I finally looked at my husband, the man I'd trusted, the man I'd loved. Divorce papers are in there too. You get nothing. Baby, please, don't baby me. I stood up. You watched them steal from me for years. You helped them do it. What kind of husband does that? The kind raised by wolves. Jasmine's voice cut through the room. She stood in the doorway, clutching her own stack of papers. I brought what you asked for, Denise. Every loan document, every email, even the ones Helen doesn't know about. Jasmine? Helen jumped up. What are you doing? Saving myself. Jasmine dropped the papers on the table. The credit union's investigating. I'm not going down for your schemes anymore. The room erupted into chaos. Helen screamed at Jasmine. Natalia burst into tears. Kenneth stared at the foreclosure notice like it might change if he looked hard enough. 1 hour, I repeated, heading for the door. Sign everything, or I call the police. Wait! Damien followed me onto the porch. What happened to us? To our love? Love? I turned to face him. Love doesn't steal $200,000. Love doesn't forge signatures. Love doesn't laugh about deceiving their partner. I can change. You can sign the papers. I stepped back. That's all you can do now. Back in my car, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. My phone buzzed. Olive checking in. They're turning on each other, I texted. Just like you predicted. Coming over with wine, she replied. You'll need it when the signatures start rolling in. I looked back at the house. Through the window, I could see Helen gesturing wildly, Jasmine shouting back, Natalia sobbing into her hands. The perfect family shattering like glass. My phone buzzed again. Brian, this time. Bank confirms accounts frozen. They're trapped. One last text came through from Damien. I never meant to hurt you. I just wanted to make my family happy. I typed back 4 words. You succeeded. They're thrilled. Then I blocked his number, started my car, and drove away from the house I'd once thought would be my forever home. They had 1 hour to sign their confessions, to admit their crimes, to face the consequences of their actions. And if they didn't, well, I had a police detective's number ready to dial, and 6 years of evidence to share. Let them try to talk their way out of that family emergency. 58 minutes. That's how long it took for my phone to ring. They're signing, Jasmine's voice trembled. But Helen, she's not herself. You need to come back. I glanced at Olive, who was already grabbing her keys. Don't let them leave. Don't let them move any papers. When we pulled up to the house, a police car sat in the driveway. I didn't call them, I said, confused. Kenneth did. Jasmine met us at the door. After Helen tried to burn the evidence, inside, the dining room had become a war zone. Papers scattered everywhere, Helen restrained in a chair by a female officer, mascara streaking down her face. Kenneth sat with his head in his hands, while another officer took his statement. "You ungrateful bitch," Helen screamed when she saw me. "After everything we did for you." "Mrs. Montgomery," the officer warned, "please stay calm." "She destroyed our family," Helen thrashed in the chair. "We gave her everything." "You gave her nothing." Jasmine stepped forward. "You took everything." Natalia huddled in a corner, frantically typing on her phone. The male officer noticed. "Miss, please surrender your device. We have reason to believe you're attempting to move funds." "Too late." Brian appeared in the doorway, laptop in hand. "The offshore account's already frozen. Interpol's involved now." "Interpol?" Natalia's phone clattered to the floor. "Mum, you said nobody would find out. Nobody was supposed to." Helen's voice cracked. "Denise was supposed to be too busy, too trusting, too—" "Stupid," I finished for her. "Sorry to disappoint." Damien stood by the fireplace, staring at the half-burned papers the officers had salvaged. "Dad, did you know about all of it?" Kenneth looked up, suddenly aged a decade. "I knew about the initial transfers, not the loans, not Natalia's account, not—" He gestured helplessly at the chaos around us. "Sign the confessions." Olive placed fresh copies on the table. "It's your last chance to avoid criminal charges." "You can't prove anything," Helen spat. "It's our word against—" "Actually," the female officer interrupted, "with these documents and recorded conversations, we can prove quite a lot." One by one they signed. Kenneth first, hand shaking. Natalia next, tears splashing the paper. Jasmine had already signed her statement at the credit union. Damien hesitated, pen hovering. "Think carefully," I told him. "Your next signature is either on that confession or on arrest papers." "I really did love you," he whispered, signing. "No," I replied. "You really didn't." Helen remained defiant. "I won't sign anything. This ungrateful girl comes into our family, takes my son, focuses on her career instead of giving us grandchildren, and now—" "Mrs. Montgomery," the male officer stepped forward. "We have enough evidence to arrest you right now for fraud, theft, and conspiracy. Your choice." She signed. "The beach house sells first," I stated flatly. "Then everything else. Every penny paid back." "Where are we supposed to live?" Natalia whimpered. "Should have thought about that before stealing from your own family fund," Jasmine remarked. The officers began gathering evidence, taking statements. I watched as the perfect family facade crumbled completely. "I've contacted the credit union board," Brian told me quietly. "They're pressing separate charges against Helen and Jasmine." "The country club committee wants a statement," Olive added. "Apparently, Helen's been running similar schemes there." "Let them handle it." I turned away from the scene. "I'm done here." "Denise, wait!" Damien called after me. "What about us, our home, our marriage?" I faced my husband one last time. "Our marriage died the first time you forged my signature. Our home was built on lies. And us." I pulled off my wedding ring. "There is no us. There never really was." "But I can change. We can start over." "No, Damien, you can start over in a smaller house, with a regular job, without access to my money." I dropped the ring on the table. "Consider it a divorce gift." Helen started screaming again as I walked out. Natalia was crying about prison. Kenneth was asking about lawyers. But for the first time in days, I felt at peace. Olive followed me to the car. "You okay?" "No," I admitted, "but I will be." My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Brian. Final tally, $238,456 stolen. All accounts frozen. Recovery process starting tomorrow. Want to get drunk and burn wedding photos? Olive offered. I started the car, watching in the rearview mirror as the officers led Helen out in handcuffs. God, yes. The perfect family was perfect no more. But maybe that was exactly how it should be. Final sale price, $800,000. The realtor handed me the beach house closing documents. Quite a profit, considering the market. Karma's profitable these days, Olive remarked beside me. We watched the new owners drive away, their moving truck following close behind. My phone buzzed. A news alert about Helen's sentencing. 8 years for fraud and conspiracy. Kenneth got 5, with possibility of early release. Natalia took a plea deal, trading information about other family schemes for a lighter sentence. Jasmine lost her job but avoided jail by cooperating fully. And Damien? He signed the divorce papers without contest, disappeared to another state, and last I heard, was working as a bank teller. Irony's funny that way. Ms. Montgomery? The bank manager approached with another stack of papers. The funds have been transferred to the restitution account. Would you like to review the distribution schedule? Send it to my lawyer. I nodded toward Olive. She'll handle the details. Walking out of the bank, I felt lighter. The money was back where it belonged, with interest. The perfect family's perfect facade had crumbled completely. Justice, as they say, had been served. Ready for your speech? Olive asked as we drove to my office. I smoothed my blazer. As ready as I'll ever be. The conference room was packed. Every financial controller and executive in the company waited to hear about my new fraud prevention initiative. Brian stood at the back, giving me a thumbs up. Thank you all for coming, I began. Today, we're launching a program I wish had existed years ago. One that might have saved me from losing $200,000 to my own family. The room went silent. We're calling it the Trust But Verify Protocol, because sometimes the people closest to us are the ones we should trust the least. Phones came out recording. This wasn't just another corporate presentation. This was a warning, a lesson, a survival guide. My husband forged my signature. My mother-in-law orchestrated elaborate schemes. My sister-in-law stole from the stolen money. And I'm here to make sure it never happens to anyone else. After the presentation, my boss pulled me aside. The board wants to fast-track you to CFO. Your story, this initiative, it's exactly what the company needs. I thought about Helen's words at my promotion party, about family success, about how desperately she'd wanted to control my career, my money, my life. I accept, I said, but I have one condition. Name it. The Trust But Verify protocol goes company-wide, no exceptions. That evening, cleaning out my home office, I found an unmarked envelope in my mailbox. Inside was a single sheet of expensive stationery. Helen's perfect handwriting instantly recognizable. You think you've won. You think you've destroyed us. But family is forever, dear. And revenge works both ways. Sleep well. I should have been scared, should have called the police. Instead, I laughed. The doorbell rang. Olive stood there with wine and takeout. Behind her, Brian juggled his laptop and a stack of files. Found 3 more accounts, he announced, settling at my kitchen table. Hidden under shell companies. Want to freeze them too? Already done, Olive smirked. Called in a few favours at the DA's office. Helen's sentence just got longer. I handed them Helen's note. They read it together, exchanging glances. Should we be worried? Brian asked. About what? I poured the wine. A prison threat from a woman who couldn't even hide her fraud properly? Who trusted her daughter with stolen money? Who thought I was too stupid to notice my own bank accounts being drained? Fair point. Olive raised her glass. To karma. To karma, we echoed. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Mum says, "You'll regret this. Family protects family." Natalia, still trying to play tough from her minimum security cell, I typed back, "Funny? That's exactly what I did. Protected myself from family." Then I blocked the number, just like I'd blocked Damien's, Helen's, Kenneth's, and every other Montgomery who thought they could threaten or guilt me into silence. "You know," Brian said, reviewing the files, "with all the recovered money plus interest, you're actually better off now than before. It was never about the money." I took another sip of wine. It was about trust, about truth, about learning that sometimes the family you choose is better than the family you marry into. Olive raised her glass again. To chosen family. Outside, a car alarm went off. Probably Natalia's flying monkeys trying to scare me. Let them try. I had security cameras, a restraining order, and most importantly, nothing left to steal. To chosen family, I agreed, and to never letting anyone else write your story for you. The perfect family was gone, but in its place, something real had grown. Something honest, something true, and that was worth every penny they tried to steal.